David Pakman is a hero? David Pakman is the bravest man in media? What? How could King Leo say this? King Leo hates liberals. He hates liberalism. Doesn't make me a conservative, as regular viewers might know. However, I have never said a positive thing about a liberal before. What would possess King Leo, of all people, to say something nice about David Pakman? Well, let me explain, as I always do, please. How's everybody doing today? Nice Monday evening here in Florida. The rains have let up. Everyone is feeling good. I hope that you are feeling good as well. I hope wherever you are, you have some nice fall weather coming in. With that, everybody, like, comment, and subscribe. But remember, rule number 1 of the King Leo show is we do not talk about the King Leo show. And rule number 2 of the King Leo show is we do not talk about the King Leo show. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers despite our rules, fellas. So make sure you follow those rules. I don't want to see my talking points ripped off. How is everybody doing today? Today I have to talk about David Pakman. Now, I have never, ever said something nice about David Pakman. In fact, I made fun of him on the stream a few months ago because I was bringing up an old clip of him on Joe Rogan, where he told Joe Rogan that he should vote Democrat because of the Supreme Court and how it will affect abortion rights. And that was his only reason for voting Democrat. And I thought this was an ineffective argument, bad propaganda. You know me, I don't care who it is. As long as the propaganda is good, I'm there for it. I'm a fan. But this was not good propaganda. This was bad propaganda. David Pakman, you're no Piers Morgan, my friend. But David Pakman, he really did something impressive to me. Something that I think in the long arc of history, we will remember. Something that any Baudrillardian would have to step back and admire, which is that David Pakman exited the frame. David Pakman recently put out a video where he said he was not going to go on Jubilee. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Finally, someone says no. It only took Charlie Kirk getting his jugular blown out, but people are starting to see, because he says it in his video, that this format is cancer, that this format induces schizophrenia in the audience. Any message you have is going to be lost to the spectacle. And most people would just say yes. Shit, quite honestly, man, I might say yes to that. Because the spectacle is fun, right? But if you have a real agenda, which is something that I think Charlie Kirk had, something that David Pakman actually has, trying to move a message forward, trying not to make the country a lot crazier, trying not to be a Tucker Carlson type of person, you should say no to Jubilee, because Jubilee is only there to make everyone's life and mental health worse. Jubilee is truly an evil corporation and YouTube channel. And for this reason, I really have to commend David Pakman. I know that some of you may not understand why I'm giving him so much props, because you say, oh, well, this is an easy decision. Like if you want it, it's not an easy decision, man. Look at how many views people get by going on Jubilee. This is something that is career defining for people. If you were offered right now a Netflix documentary or an appearance on Jubilee, which one would you take? Probably the appearance on Jubilee. So this is not something that comes at no cost at the guy. The guy has a platform already, sure, but this is something that takes some stones to do. And the fact that not only did he say no, but he publicly said, I'm being more deliberate in how I treat my audience. I'm being more deliberate on how I treat the public. Am I trying to convince, or am I trying to be part of the spectacle? And the spectacle is not for convincing. The spectacle is for distraction. The spectacle is to pass the time, to occupy our minds. You know, you can only think of 7 plus or minus 2 things at once. And these spectacles, what they do is they put you in a sort of trance. If you're familiar with hypnotism, this is what they do. They put you in a form of trance, agitate you, raise your cortisol levels, and just make you walk around angry. And David Pakman said no to that. And that deserves a lot of commendation. A lot of commendation. I'm not saying that I like David Pakman's work now. I think most of the things he preaches are pretty stupid. And, you know, I'll admit, I don't know if I said it already, but I may have a bias because he's Argentinian and I have some Chilean blood in me. We don't get along fully. But I will say this is a positive development, if and only if, because I don't really care about the politics. As real Baudrillardians checking in, we don't care about the politics. We already know that you live in hell, I live in hell, we all live in hell, and that's fine. That's fine. That's where we're at. But the hell can stay at 350 instead of going up to 425. And Jubilee is a vehicle for making things worse. If we're looking at it historically, once upon a time, there was a big war called World War II, and it was a terrible war. And when it ended in Italy, the population was so fractured, so destroyed mentally. They did not know what was going on. And they were considering radical ideologies. They were considering communism, they were considering neo-fascism, they were considering socialism. And what happened is that the American government decided to step in. And what they did is that they funded far-right and far-left groups to do acts of terrorism. This is called Operation Gladio. If you watch the streams, you know about this. Some people contest the way I'm telling this story, but this is my conclusions after reading a lot of documents on it and books. And what they did was they created these spectacles, these jubilees of the time, a bomb in a train station, a bomb in a fountain, this sort of insane stuff. Prime ministers getting kidnapped and executed in Rome. And all of this, what it did is that it made people scared, and it closed their minds to the endless possibilities that exist in this world. And it made them all vote for Christian democracy or liberalism. And it closed everything and kept Italy under this state of hypnotism, under this state of total control. And that's what's happening here, but it's much more violent. And that's the problem, because if you see a train station blow up, you're not going to do that. Okay? Maybe there's some mimetic element to it, but when you see people arguing, and we see this now, when you see Charlie Kirk doing a stupid debate, rest in peace, sincerely, doing a stupid debate with a college student, getting angry, yelling at him, what do you get? You get other people making little signs and going to college campuses and yelling at people and causing fights, and fights that are meaningless, my friends, meaningless. There is no purpose to these fights. You and I, we cannot change anything. We are battling, if you choose to. I don't know why you would. If you are battling these forces of history that have been laid brick by brick from the beginning of time, from Rome placing a brick, from the Carolingian Empire placing a brick, from the American Revolution placing a brick, from the French Revolution placing a brick, to Abraham Lincoln placing a brick, to FDR placing a brick, to Oppenheimer placing a brick. Wow, that's a tongue twister. And you decide to fight this wall that is so sturdy, so held up, you are delusional. And the fact that you even think that you can take this down, it shows that you are disorganized in your mind, have disorganized thought patterns, and are a victim of modern schizophrenia. MK Ultra, dude, it's not that complicated. A lot of people think it's this complicated stuff with LSD. No, it's not. It's simply that you cannot go home and talk to your grandmother or talk to your friend without bringing up politics, because you have to be constantly divided, constantly fighting about abortion or, welfare reform or the military. At the end of the day, we don't control any of this, man. We don't control any of this. But if you're trying to control it, if you're trying to do what David Pakman's doing, refusing the spectacle, is truly something to admire. In a lot of ways, I feel like David Pakman was like Colonel Kurtz in that moment. If you've seen the classic film Apocalypse Now, when Kurtz looks at Martin Sheen and he says, "We came here to inoculate the children. And after we did, the village elders came and they cut all their arms off. And that's when it hit me like a diamond bullet. The genius of that." He saw the genius in the spectacle. The genius in the spectacle is that it just results in more spectacle, less seriousness, but more mental fracturing of the country. You do not get the assassination of Charlie Kirk without his appearance on Jubilee. You do not get the grifting on his body by Erica Kirk and everyone else who participated in that necromancy without Jubilee. Jubilee, if we lived in a rational society, would be immediately banned. The idea of one person surrounded by 20 people who disagree with them and they're going to have a conversation is something so ridiculous that anyone in the past, anyone in the 1950s would have looked at you and said, that's ridiculous. Why would I do that? Why would I participate in something that's stupid? And the spectacle is going to exist. It's going to exist. It is always going to exist. Piers Morgan, our hero on this channel, he's the master of the spectacle. He is the puppet master, the genius of it. And he's contributing towards the schizophrenia too, but it's not as gross, in my opinion, as what Jubilee does. Because what Jubilee does is it empowers regular people, because people confuse TV with real life or the internet with real life. Regular people are just brought into a room. They don't realize that there's a casting director. They don't realize that there's auditions, that there's screenings. They don't realize that it's edited, that they shoot for 10 hours and edit 2 together for you to enjoy the worst moments of people. Jubilee gets people fired. Jubilee gets people angry. Jubilee gets people to go home and argue, to go to the store and argue, to talk your ear off about stupid shit instead of focusing on their life. And the fact that David Pakman, of all people, man, because I really didn't expect it from him. I did not expect it from him. I think that everyone else would sign up for Jubilee. Patrick Bet-David did, obviously another master baiter. Probably Piers Morgan would do it, but David Pakman had the stones. He had the balls. And to be honest, in a lot of ways, that wipes away all of the negative that man has done, in my view. He has actually redeemed himself in my eyes. Because a man to refuse the spectacle in the age of the panopticon arena, where everywhere you go, there's spectacle. Everywhere you are, it's spectacle. It's Donald Trump this, it's Pete Hegseth doing this rally, it's Chuck Schumer yells at this person, it's Lauren Boebert. For one man to stand in the middle of that and say, I refuse to play the game. I mean, this is Citizen Kane. This is Baudrillard. A hero. Nothing less. I'm not saying this facetiously. Nothing less than a hero. No one else has the balls to do that, man. No one else. I think Cenk Uygur went on Jubilee. Charlie Kirk went on Jubilee, rest in peace. And I hope that this signals a trend. A trend towards a regard for the health of the people. A regard for the mental health of the people. We cannot be in a society where people are constantly agitated, constantly conspirizing, doing conspiracy theories. Tucker Carlson's talking about Kabbalah on his show, whatever the fuck that's supposed to do to people, just making people crazy. If you're in the business of making people crazy and you don't know you're doing it, because that's the problem, is a lot of these people are unconsciously doing it. But if you know you're doing it, that's fine. But if you don't know you're doing it, which Charlie Kirk, I really think he didn't know he was doing. But if you don't know you're doing it, and you participate in it, and you don't take a moment of clarity, a step back and go, why would they offer this to me? Why would this Korean, I think he's Korean, entrepreneur offer me the opportunity to lambast, fight, and denigrate people around me and allow myself to be denigrated by 20 young people around me? Why would they offer me that? If you are not able to even question that yourself, it shows that you are so lost, that your soul is so fractured, that it is over for you, that you have fully assimilated into the machine. There is a ghost in your machine now. You no longer exist as a human being. You are an automaton. You respond to stimulus and you stimulate others. And that's all you do. That's all you do. And I'm glad to know that some people can still look past that. Take a moment, think about it. Go, hey, you know what? This sounds like bullshit. This sounds like a scam. If it's too good to be true, if it's 10 million views, but it's too good to be true, then it probably is. And that's all I had to say. I really appreciate you, David. Sincerely, this message gets to you, man. Chile got Copa America twice in a row, but whatever. You guys won the World Cup. Respect. And I respect what you're doing, man. I really do. I really hope more people come to this conclusion. I would like to see David Pakman try to preach this to other people. I think that would be a good idea for David Pakman to get out there and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't participate in this spectacle. Maybe, it's like Gladiator, right? It's like Russell Crowe saying, hey guys, maybe if we don't fight, we win. Even if we die, we win. Because we did not fight. We did not fight the forces of history. We did not make people crazy. All we did was take a step back, be a little passive and say, everything's going to be okay, man. If you want to talk, let's have a talk, but I'm not fighting with 20 college kids over something. And that's all I had to say. How are you guys doing? How's your day? What did you guys think of the David Pakman video? I think I'll link it in the description so you can check it out. Very good video. I'm very proud of David Pakman. Sincerely respect Latino pride, my man. A Latino had to do it. A Latino had to say no to the spectacle. Man, we really are the best. But with that, everybody, let me know in the comments what you think. Are you still suspicious of David Pakman? Do you think even that's self-interested? I don't, but let me know. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. But please remember, rule number 1 of the King Leo Show, we do not talk about the King Leo Show. And rule number 2 of the King Leo Show, we do not talk about the King Leo Show. And with that, everybody, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow on stream. See ya.